Hi everyone, a very good afternoon to you. Welcome once again to the Hungaroring here at Budapest for race 2 for the Trofeo Pirelli category of the Ferrari Challenge, as the cars are making their way onto the grid now in weather conditions that are somewhat different to that we saw for their qualifying earlier on. We are at round 3. We've been to Valencia, Monza, we're here in Budapest, with still to come Le Castellet, Silverstone in the UK, Imola, and of course the glittering World Finals in Mugello between the 26th and the 29th of October. All the information at races.ferrari.com. As we look back from one of the onboard cameras to the Galapatar 458 car from last year. So that's our location then, Hungaroring here in Budapest. We are some 23 kilometers from central Budapest. It's about 30 minutes drive time if traffic is in your favor to this 4.381 kilometer circuit, which features 14 turns, 8 right, 6 left. It's very undulating. You go through turn 1, you start rolling downhill through turns 1A, turns 2 and turns 3 before you reach the back of the circuit at turn number 4. Air temperature 29 degrees, track temperature 40 degrees. Yesterday it was blistering. Overnight we had quite a lot of rain. The rain continued for this morning, and when it came to qualifying for Trofeo Pirelli, the qualifying conditions were absolutely wet. It wasn't raining really at that point, but the track was sufficiently soaked that Daniel D'Amato, who put it on pole position, was chased the whole way by Fabio Lima. Daniel D'Amato is the new championship leader, as the graphics indicate, and he took the win yesterday to add to the 2 wins that he had at Monza. Now, when you consider that he missed out on the first 2 races in Valencia, this man, Fabio Lima, has got a lot to do for the Octane 126 team, but Fabio Lima has put the car P2 on the grid, so he and Daniel D'Amato will be alongside each other on the front row of the grid. Spectators here to enjoy the Ferrari Challenge, the Trofeo Pirelli race, 30 minutes race still to come. And there is Sam Smith. Not quite as good a job in qualifying today as he did yesterday. He was the AM champion last year, has been elevated to the Pro Championship for this year. He qualified P2 yesterday, qualified P3 today in challenging conditions for all the drivers, it has to be said, during the qualifying session. And there is Philippe Barron, who will be going from P4. Philippe Barron driving for the Rosso Corsa team. He's 1:59.841, enough to give him P4. So there, you can just about see the heat haze now rising off the tarmac. It certainly wasn't like that when it came to qualifying. Andrea Gagliardini, another one of the pro drivers, goes from P5 because we have a mix of pro drivers and AM drivers. For identification purposes, the pro drivers run with a white strip across the top of the windscreen. The AM drivers with a black strip across the windscreen, and those driving last year's 458 car, well, they have a blue strip across the top of the windscreen, so really easy to identify. You're welcome to Hungaroring, Budapest. So just a little snapshot of our location then, as our European tour, as we celebrate 70 years of Ferrari continues. We are in Hungary and looking at Alessandro Vezzoni. He's taken 2 podiums thus far in 2017, and he's best 2 P3 places, hence those 2 podiums. He's going from P6 on the grid in one of the programs from Monza. Great feature on Alessandro Vezzoni. There's the grid then. D'Amato, Lima, front row. Then it's Smith and Barron, second row. Third row is Gagliardini. And that man we were just talking about, Alessandro Vezzoni, driving for the Rosso Corsa Pellin racing team. As we look at the next rows, it's the best of the AM drivers, Martin Nelson. And then we see Chris Froggatt, good qualifying from him. Josh Cartu, Jens Liebhauser. Then it's Gerald Aubuch and Tommaso Roca occupying the next 3 rows of the grid. And then we find Contini, Overgaard, Ulcu in the first of the 458s. Per Nielsen And Holger Harmsen in another one of the 458 cars, and then Robin Jensen, before we see Galapatar then for Octane 126. We look at Tommaso Roca in car number 97 now. Tommaso Roca didn't finish the race, regrettably, yesterday, so he will be looking forward to hopefully more success today. Tommaso Roca then drives in the AM category in the number 97 car, who has had a couple of P2s in the 2 races at Monza. Martin Nelson was the best of the AM drivers, and he effectively is pole for AM, but goes from P7 on the grid. Let's join Marc Genet now.
Safety comes first at Ferrari, and the Ferrari engineers have made sure that in the new 488 challenge, safety is a very, very important aspect for the driver, of course. So what they have done, the engineers, first of all, is they have redesigned all the roll bars, the safety cage for the driver, in a way that it's safer, and also making sure that it's still easy to go in and out of the car. And then with our partner Sabelt, we've worked not only on the seat belts, but also specifically in the seat. As you can see, this part here made in carbon fiber gives a much better protection on the side for the driver. So this car is quicker, of course, but we also have made the standard of the safety of the car to a much higher level, even that it's really necessary.
Thank you, Marc Genet, then illustrating the safety features of the new for 2017 Ferrari 488 car, the first ever car, as we look at Christian Overgaard then for Baron Services, the first ever car in the Ferrari Challenge which features a turbocharged engine, slightly smaller engine size in terms of CC, but the power enhanced by virtue of that turbocharger and increased aero as well, as we look at the Sam Smith car. The British driver, engineered by FF Corsa, supported by Team Stratstone, and Sam Smith goes from P3 on the grid. Good afternoon. Welcome to our television program. Glad you're enjoying it, and glad you're going to enjoy the race to come. Galapatar there in the Ferrari 458 Evo. Beg your pardon, that's Ulku. We're about to get the race underway. Ümit Ülko, who we saw just a few moments ago, the best of the 458 drivers as we look back at the grid from the Hublot safety car and our on-board camera there. As is always the case, it's a rolling start for the Ferrari Challenge. The safety car will lead the cars away. Looking from our onboard camera with Joshua Katu, the Canadian racer that's actually based here in Budapest now. And Josh has a lot of support here at his home circuit. And it's his first race ever on what is effectively now his home circuit. Contini then runs for the Kessel racing team. Huge number of teams involved in the Ferrari Challenge, and it's as important for the teams as it is for the drivers where their cars finish. Okay, pole position for the AM category is Martin Nelson. Let's hear from him now.
So I'm really happy. I made the pole position in the AM class in Pirelli at this fantastic Hungary ring. It's an amazing track. First time driving the 488 in the rain. I love rain. So it's slippery, it's technical, but it's fun. Really good fun. And we're looking forward to the race.
Thank you, Martin Nelson. He's given himself the best possible starting position for the AM classification, going from P7 on the grid. Didn't have a brilliant time of it yesterday, actually finished P8. And when you consider that Martin Nelson has had 4 AM wins going into the race yesterday, he was a little bit disappointed, I think, when his run of success really rather came to an end. Following some contact, he ended up finishing P8. So Daniel Tiamato's father, Renato, looks on. as the cars are off on their formation lap now. All the social media on the top of the screen for you as we watch the all-green car of Philip Barron for Rosso Corsa, just behind the all-yellow car of Sam Smith, as they weave now and try and generate some temperature into those Pirelli tyres, going through the little kink, which is effectively turn 1A before turn number 2. This Hungaroring circuit sees a lot of race action, but you know, part of the circuit's rubbering in was damaged by the overnight rain, and we've had a couple of qualifying sessions. Only one of those was in the dry. So on board with Joshua Katu for Ferrari Budapest then, as he makes his way around this wonderful and challenging technical Hungaroring circuit. So from the downhill stretch going back uphill now right to the back end of the circuit. I have walked the circuit and it is an extremely challenging one, as many of the drivers have said. So spectators here enjoying the race action about to come. But not only that, of course, there is quite a paddock show as well, all celebrating the 70th anniversary of Ferrari. I remind you the website to find out everything that you could possibly want to know with regards to the Ferrari Challenge. The cars, the personalities, the drivers, as Christian Colombo, one of the driver coaches, looks on. It's races.ferrari.com. That is the website. As Beppe Scanetti then, who drives the Hublot safety car, picks up the cars now. And it will be the responsibility of Daniel D'Amato and the Octane 126 driver Fabio Lima to control the pace of the rolling start once the safety car leaves the circuit, which is at the start of turn number 14. So tension begins to build, the excitement begins to build as well for this 30-minute Trofeo Pirelli race to come. The number 47 car of Gerald Albuk then for GOM Racing that we looked at. Here we go then. Race number 2 for Trofeo Pirelli is about to get underway. So as the lights go green, then Daniel D'Amato and Fabio Lima. Then it's Philip Barron on the outside of Sam Smith. Daniel D'Amato had got the measure of Fabio Lima before they've even made it into turn number 1. Sam Smith on the inside of Fabio Lima now. Fabio Lima with the outside line, which will give him the inside for turn number 2. Hopefully that will mean that Daniel D'Amato goes into P2. Yes, it does. Sam Smith tucked into P3, Andrea Galliardini and Philip Barron fighting side by side at this point on the opening lap, as Philip Barron is squeezed out and ran wide onto the grass, and that's bad news. I think that's Robin Jensen that's gone round. No, it could be Martin Nelson. So Martin Nelson, who was pole position in the AM category, has gone around already on the opening lap. So as the cars begin to settle down now, it's high time that we introduced our guest for this race. Alongside me, he is the 2016 champion, and that is Bjorn Grossman. What an opening lap so far, Bjorn.
Thank you, Dave, that I can be here. Yes, it's amazing. They have a lot to do now, I think.
And already Daniel D'Amato up against your teammate, because of course you drive for Octane 126. He's opened up a gap over Fabio Lima. What has Fabio got to throw at this to try and keep on terms with this Daniel D'Amato, who's been so dominant so far?
It's unbelievable how fast he is. It's unbelievable. He really make no mistakes, and I mean, I know Fabio really good.
Yes.
And he is really fast, so I hope he can close the gap now.
Andrea Galliardini right on the back of Alessandro Vezzoni then, and Sam Smith, who is running in P3 at the moment. We're going to complete the first lap, and the first lap is going to be completed with Daniel D'Amato leading from Fabio Lima, former GP2 champion. He's P2. Sam Smith, that's the car. P3, then it's Alessandro Vezzoni. So Chris Frogger is the leading driver in the AM category now. It would be very interesting to see a replay of where Martin Nelson was turfed around. But Sam Smith at the moment has got his rear view mirrors all full of that Alessandro Vezzoni car. A big age difference between Sam Smith and Alessandro Vezzoni, but in terms of pace, Vezzoni, of course, now he's really having a go here at Sam Smith, and he's got to do this job early on, hasn't he, Björn, and try and get past that car.
Yes, I think if he can keep the speed now and he pushes him a little bit, maybe he make a little mistake and he have a chance to overtake him.
So this was the situation then going into turn number 1. Now Fabio, he kept his cool there. He knew he was going to be in the right place for the next turn, didn't he?
He did exactly everything right. He didn't make any mistakes, so yeah.
So I'm just looking, we just missed out on, well, there's Philip Barron going wide. And trying to see where and how Martin Nelson got turned around as well. Another one of your teammates, Galip Atar, then the Turkish driver, right at the back of the pack. And of course, that's last year's car, the car that you won the championship in.
Yes, no, I did with the car of Ümit. That was my car from last year.
But that's the 458 Evo, which
yes.
in itself was a good car. But this 488 is a real step up as well, isn't it?
It's a big step, a big step. It's 100 horsepower, more downforce, bigger tires. It's completely different to the 458.
So Alessandro Vezzoni then is keeping Sam Smith really keen here as they make their way through turn number 13, heading towards turn number 14 now. This is a critical turn number 14, because you need to get this exactly right to set up an overtake, don't you, going into turn 1 when you go downhill? You need to have your exit of that turn perfect so you get the maximum momentum going into turn 1.
Yes, it is. It's really slippery and you have only one line to get a perfect out of the lap. Oh, no.
Oh, Vezzoni and Smith together there now. Vezzoni had the inside line, didn't he? And Sam went to turn in and suddenly realised that that gap was full of the Alessandro Vezzoni car. So Vezzoni moves up to P3 now and relegates Sam Smith to P4. The race leader is Daniel D'Amato. He's checked out already. He's 3 seconds up the road, and Fabio Lima is chasing down as quickly as he possibly can. And again, you know, Daniel D'Amato goes through sector 1 and sets a very, very quick time. So, and this is where he gains the time. It's just, and you mentioned this at the beginning of the program, Fabio, where Fabio is supreme is clearly he is an extremely talented driver. Where Daniel is doing so very well, he's nailing every apex, isn't he? He's not making any mistakes and he's just doing everything perfectly, hence the margin that he has to Fabio at the moment.
Yes, he pushes really from the beginning, from the first point, and he didn't make any mistake. So he really pushed the tire to the limit from the beginning.
Sam Smith then has now got Andrea Gagliardini for company now, and whether Sam Smith may have just picked up a little bit of damage perhaps in that little contact between himself and Alessandro Vezzoni, because now Vezzoni has got past him. He really is much quicker, isn't he? And now Sam Smith is in the clutches, being reeled in by Andrea Gagliardini, who's currently running in P5, of course. Well, Sam Smith is just ahead of him at the moment. The standings on screen for you. D'Amato, Lima, then it's Vezzoni, Smith, and this Gagliardini car, before we find Philippe Barron, who is running P7 at the moment. So Gagliardini there, running very wide, the entrance to turn 14. As he builds momentum now, going just slightly uphill before you reach the crest, and then you begin going downhill into turn number 1. So this is Martin Nelson, who's, of course, now got a real battle on his hands to try and come back, having been turned around earlier on, Bjorn. When this happens, and it has happened to you as a racing driver, does that give you extra impetus?
Of course. You're sitting in the car and you have a lot of emotion, so
yes,
you really have to cool down and to make the best of the situation.
Okay, well, Philip Barron is fighting there with the Chris Froggatt car. Chris Froggatt is one of the AM drivers. Philip Barron running very, very wide there ahead of the Chris Froggatt car now, though. So there is Philip Barron in car number 91. Drives for the Rosso Corsa team. So right now the top 6 are all the pro drivers now that Barron has got past Chris Froggatt. And still Andrea Gagliardini is tucked in behind Sam Smith. The battle for the P4 place. And now that Barron has got past the Chris Froggatt car, as we see out the number 47 car of Gerald Aubach, the Gome racing driver, Scuderia Gome, as you can see, and he's parking that car up and engaging reverse. So I would suggest that that's his race done.
Yes, I think it's something damaged on the backside.
It looked like it was limping,
bumping.
didn't it? Yes.
Yeah.
So Smith then defending hard against Andrea Gagliardini. A question for a top racing driver, of which you are. When you're in this situation, you have a car on your back. Are you driving using the rear view mirrors, or are you just not thinking about that and you've got your eyes focused on everything ahead?
normally you have to focus on the front side, of course, but
Yes.
sometimes it's not possible. You have to check also the mirror if he is beside you, if he make a mistake.
Yes.
So it's a lot you have to think about in the car, what can happen.
And something we see sometimes is drivers flashing their lights. Now, is that purely to try and distract you and get you to make a mistake?
Of course,
Right.
of course. I did it also. It makes you nervous in the front if somebody is flashing the light and you think, oh no, he is coming.
Right. So this is the battle for first position in AM. Wouldn't this be brilliant for Joshua Kartu, who of course has made his home here in Budapest. He has a lot of people here supporting him this afternoon. He's currently P2 in the AM class. The red car ahead of him is Chris Frogger, who is leading the AM class. Let's go on board with Joshua Kartu now. It really would be a dream come true to win in front of your home audience. That's something that you've done, Bjorn. And when you have a lot of family and friends supporting you, many drivers have told me that won't necessarily give you a 10th, but it gives you a 100th. Do you know what I mean? It makes you feel better about it.
It makes you feel better, but also you have a lot of pressure because
course.
you want to perform well and you want to make no mistakes, and sometimes it's too much pressure if you have too much around you.
Right. Well, Sam Smith, at the moment, as Philip Barron kicks up a bit more dust running out onto the grass, Sam Smith is continuing to show the moment a clean pair of heels to Andrea Gagliardini and also for Philip Barron, but Gagliardini is the one that is closest to Sam Smith. Now, when you are following this close, Bjorn Grossman, let me just remind everyone, 2016 Trofeo Pirelli champion. When you are following this close, does this affect the aero of your car? Does this affect the tyre degradation of your car when you're so close to a car in front?
Of course, you also have a problem if you drive on the backside. You have not so much downforce.
Sure.
Also, the car comes to be more hot from the engine side. So it's from both sides not easy.
Right. And therefore, sometimes, is it best just to ease off a bit and to let things cool down before having another go, maybe? Because if you relentlessly keep that pressure up, you are surely going to put so much pressure on the car that come the end of the race, your tyre degradation is going to be greater, as Jens Liebhauser here, who didn't have a brilliant qualifying session, gets past the car of Christian Overgaard. Sorry, I asked you a question.
Yeah.
Are you better off leaving the overtake or leaving the potential overtake for maybe a lap or so, just allowing the car to cool?
Not really.
Right.
You have a sprint race, so you want that the guy in front of you, he make a mistake. So you have to bring him to make this. But if you leave him the space, he will be cool and
Is going to be up the road.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Gagliardini is certainly following every instruction that you're making, Bjorn, because he's not giving him any margin at all. And this is some great defence driving from Sam Smith. Gagliardini just taking a look at the inside through the chicane here, where you go in and you take the curb, and you take the curb on the way out as well. And Smith really is feeling the pressure now, but at the moment he's been able to resist the... as Gagliardini then just caught the curb, and the back end of the car looked like it stepped out a little bit. So Smith continues to defend, and if he's got to continue to defend for the next 20 minutes, this is going to be a big, big ask for the FF Corsa driver, as Gagliardini just dives out once again to fill that rearview mirror of Sam Smith's, full of that red car of Andrea Gagliardini, as he's continuing to press and to push really, really hard. Chris Froggatt leads Joshua Kartu, the car that we're looking at right now in the AM battle, and Joshua Kartu then is P2 in AMS. Daniel D'Amato adds another 10th, and it's 4.466 seconds now, the gap between Daniel D'Amato and Fabio Lima, who is, Bjorn, your teammate. And when you're out there racing together as teammates, you have a healthy respect for each other. Do you get on as mates? Because surely you cannot have a mate as a teammate, can you? Do you know what I mean? Because when you go out there and race, it's every driver for himself, Bjorn.
Of course, but we have a good relationship, and we drive also with the 488 GT3 together in one car. So we have a respect, and we can learn from each other. That's a good thing. So sometimes it's not easy if you have a good teammate, but at the moment I'm really happy to be with him.
His good guy is Fabio Lima, and he's currently running in P2. Now, joining this battle, Andrea Gagliardini goes to the outside of... now, this makes him vulnerable almost to Philip Barron. Andrea Gagliardini is continuing to try and provoke and press Sam Smith into making a mistake. He's taking curbs, grass, and there was a little bit of a nerf there, Björn. trying to unsettle that car, because now he's in an awful position, Gagliardini, because he's hunting, but he's being hunted as well.
Yeah.
That must be horrible.
It is, because I see he is really fast, so maybe he can push a little bit more, but now he makes him really nervous. Now it's the first mistake.
Now that is the mistake that, of course, he was pushing, wasn't it? And Sam Smith made that mistake, and now he could lose two places in one hit here, because Philip Barron is trying to come through as well. Philip Barron on the outside now runs really, really wide, and in fairness, Philip appears to have been running off the track quite a bit. They're around turn 13 now, which is not generally an overtaking place, but that's where Philip Barron gets the job done. Gagliardini up the road now. Now he's been released from the clutches of Sam Smith. He's clearly quicker, and he is up the road, and Philip Barron has gone through as well. That's a nightmare, isn't it? Losing 2 places in the space of 2 or 3 turns.
It is. It cannot be more worse. But now, if he can focus now and maybe don't push the tires too much,
right,
you have the chance to follow and wait for them to make a mistake.
Car number 20, Gagliardini, is being given a warning flag. Now, what will that be for, Björn? Will it be? It won't be for track limits, will it? I didn't see where he was badly not sticking to the track limits rules. I don't think. I mean, Philip Barron seems to be very, very wayward in that Rosso Corsa car.
So I think he did a mistake in the chicane.
Okay.
And he cut a little bit, but yeah, I mean, if you fight with each other, it's possible.
And in fairness, the chicane is one of the places, as we look at Mr. Dupuy there for the CDP team, whose driver, of course, is, well, car 91 has got to give that position back to Sam Smith. So, Sam Smith then has got to retake his position. It's argued that Philip Barron...
Yeah, I think it was in this corner when he goes too wide
Right.
and have too much speed out of the corner.
Because sometimes, yes, and this is the whole argument with track limits, and you and I were discussing this over a cup of coffee earlier, that, you know, you can use the track limits to gain a real advantage, can't you? As Martin Nelson gets past his teammate, Robin Jensen. Martin Nelson on a real charge now, of course, to make his way back up the order following his turnaround right at the start of the race. But yes, sometimes if you do go off and you use the runoff area, and there we can see where Gagliardini did Sam Smith, but yes, it just gives you that extra charge, doesn't it, on your exit?
Yeah. If you drive out of the corner of some corners, you have the chance to get much more speed. So sometimes it's better you have walls for the drivers. It's much more easy.
And that is something that we were discussing, wasn't it? Instead of a white line, if it's a wall like at Monaco or the Norris Ring in Germany or whatever. Well, Philip Barron then is allowing Sam Smith to take that position back, and of course he's going to try and close the gap now because he doesn't want Chris Froggatt to come through as well. So Philip Barron does give that position back. Now, he will have been told on the team radio, but here Philip Barron could lose out in another position because Chris Froggatt is really on the back of the Rosso Corsa team car now. And Chris Froggatt is the best of the AM drivers at the moment as Martin Nelson continues his quest to try and get up the order following his turnaround right at the start of this race. Already we're into the second half of the race. Where has the time gone? Goodness. So Barron has now got to do it all over again, but what he's got to do, he's got to do it legally this time, and the difficulty is going to be, now he's going to have Chris Froggatt chasing him as well, isn't he?
Yeah, now we have the one guy pushing him behind and Sam Smith again in the front, so now it comes to be difficult because before it was Gagliardini, he takes a lot of pressure to Sam Smith.
Yes.
Now he have to make the same to him.
Yes, you're right. It is almost a carbon copy, isn't it? So Sam Smith is now P5, Gagliardini is P4, Alessandro Vezzoni P3, Fabio Lima P2, and Daniel D'Amato very nearly 5 seconds up the road in the lead of this race. All of the top 6 places occupied by these pro drivers. Then Chris Froggatt, which is the car that we can see on screen right now, is the best of the AM drivers. Chris Froggatt then, who has come into the Ferrari Challenge and done a very, very good job indeed. He took P2 places in the opening round at Valencia. It didn't finish in race 1 at Monza, but took a P6 in race 2. Back to form again. And here's Jens Liebhauser now in the number 44 car, chasing down Joshua Cartu. Car 2 at the moment is P2 in the AMS, and Jens Liebhauser, based in Austria, is P3. But Joshua Car 2 looks to be under a bit of pressure here as Jens Liebhauser is pushing him very, very hard indeed. Sam Smith and the battle for Philip Barron and Chris Froggatt right behind. That's played into the hands a little bit of Sam Smith, hasn't it? Because he's been able to concentrate on just getting up the road.
Yes, yes. The gap that he have now, it's not a problem for him. So he have the time to relax a little bit and don't overdrive the car. So, but now it starts to be more interesting, I think.
Because sooner rather than later, Jens Liebhauser, Joshua Car 2, they're all going to be joining that, and it's going to be 5 for that place, isn't it? So all of a sudden it's going to get very, very busy there.
Yeah, they are a little bit faster than the other guys now, so now it's a big pack.
You're right. There is Thomas O'Rourke in the number 97 car, who's running in P11 at the moment, and you can just see the number 70 car of Martin Nelson, who is scything through the pack now like a hot knife through butter, because he's got the bit between his teeth, having been nerfed out right at the beginning of the race. He did all the hard work in qualifying, put the car P1 in the AM class, and now he's chasing down Ettore Contini then for Kessel Racing, who we are on board with right now. Here comes the 488 of Scuderia Autoropa, then Martin Nelson right behind him. So great onboard shot then of Ettore Contini, and now Martin, whoa,
a little touch.
Yeah, just went to turn in, did Ettore, and realised that the Scuderia Autoropa car was there. So Nelson now will give it everything he possibly can up this start-finish straight, because the number 49 car is theoretically going to have the inside line, isn't going into turn number 1, but Nelson's got his nose in front here.
Yeah, he improved really a lot. I have to say he's really fast this year. Also last year he won.
Yes.
And he's doing really a good job. What I tell you, now he really did everything well.
So Nelson does get the job done and gets past the Ettore Contini car to take up P6 now. It's not where he wants to be though. And next he's got Thomas O'Rourke ahead of him. There is the all-blue Thomas O'Rourke car, driver number 97. So P11 in the race overall. P5 in the AM class, and already Martin Nelson is troubling him. So Nelson really has, and it proves the point that you made earlier on, Björn, that once something like that happens at the start of the race and you get turned around, it kind of gives you an extra kick up the bottom, if I may say, in terms of motivation to really, really push.
Yeah, you cannot lose anything. You are the last one, so you give 102%, and not only the 100. And sometimes it worked really well, like you see on his side. He is closing the gap so fast. But this is now interesting fight because these two guys have a lot of fight in the past.
Yes. History, I think, is the word that I was going to use. But there was a mistake there from Thomas O'Rourke on the exit there. Now, Martin Nelson, this is around turn number 13. Then it's in, you're going uphill here, aren't you, into turn number 14. Then it is this right-hander. So Nelson again to the outside of Thomas O'Rourke, has got superior momentum, I would suggest. And if he can Thomas O'Rourke then, defensive driving, which he is allowed to do.
Yeah.
But now Martin Nelson with the inside line. This is going to give him the inside for turn number 1. It should be job done.
It have to. Now I think he have done it. Yes.
Well, for all the history between the two of them, that was clean and tidy, wasn't it?
It is. It was much more worse some races before. They had a lot of contact.
So now troubling Thomas O'Rourke is the number 43 car of Ettore Contini. And Contini goes through, and Robin Jensen. Now, I wonder whether Thomas O'Rourke has got an issue with the car here, because he's slowing, isn't he?
Yeah, he's really slowing down, and he let him only go and don't go in. So I don't understand if he have a problem or it was only a mistake.
Okay, well, let's take a look at this replay. There, I mean, that was... Even someone like me could have made that overtake, I think.
Yeah. He makes it really easy for him.
Sure.
But sometimes you don't see if he is really beside you.
Yeah.
So you don't go with the full in this corner because you have a wall on the left and on the right side.
Yes. So we're back to this battle for P5 between Smith and Barron. And Sam Smith then around turn number 13 now, being chased by Philip Barron. What's really interesting, and I've been keeping an eye on the timing screen, Björn Grossman, is that Fabio, who is running in P2, is now quicker than Daniel D'Amato.
Yeah, it's really strange. I look all the time on the timetable and I see it's one time D'Amato is fast and his Fabio is fast.
Right, a bit seesaw-like.
Yeah. And I don't know if D'Amato drives full.
Oh, right, managing
tires and so on.
Joshua Cartu and Jens Liebhauser then. This is for P2 on the AM podium. And Joshua Cartu has done a good job in terms of defending against the Austrian driver Jens Liebhauser. The margin between them is, it's been 4 tenths, 7 tenths, and then sort of 5 tenths over the last couple of laps. So Joshua Cartu, who we're on board with now, doing a good job as we run downhill and then start to climb once again towards the back end of the circuit for the Ferrari Budapest driver. Up next, that right-hand turn. And there is our race leader. We've not seen a lot of him in the race because, truthfully, he's been untroubled once again right at the front for the CDP-engineered Daniel D'Amato car. Here he is around turn number 13 now. Once again, he's just increased the margin again, hasn't he, over Fabio Lima, that's running in P2. So D'Amato then around turn number 14. And we'll cross the timing line once again. Be interested to see what the gap is as they cross the timing line once again. Robin Jensen now gets past Tommaso Roca in replay. So Fabio Lima again. It's now it's 4.9 seconds between P1 and P2. So Tommaso Roca, clearly there is something ailing, I would suggest, in the car. Alessandro Vezzoni is out on his own, isn't he, in P3 before we see Andrea Gagliardini here. As the CDP team look on, of course, that's to the very right of the picture. That's Daniel's father, Renato, talking to him on the team radio. Is team radio a distraction or an assistance to you as a racing driver, Björn?
It's really important.
Okay.
So, of course, sometimes you don't need it because you see if in front or behind you is somebody, but it helps you a lot. If somebody is faster behind you, you have to push more or you can take out the speed.
Okay. Chris Froggatt then, doing a very, very good job in the AMS. As we look at the Barron Motorsport team then on the pit wall as we reach the final 5 minutes of this race. It is Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli. There is Philip Barron, and Sam Smith has got the better of him for now, hasn't he, in the final 5 minutes of this race. If Sam Smith can hold on to this, it will mean a P5 finish for Sam Smith. Philip Barron is P6. Philip Barron, another long-time campaigner in the Ferrari Challenge as well. And there is the best of the AMs then, Chris Froggatt in car number 93, Joshua Cartu and Jens Liebhauser. Interesting how the AM battle is all beginning to bunch up in the closing stages of this race, but with only 4 minutes of the race duration left. I'd be very, very surprised if it closes much more than it does currently. Everyone seems to have the measure of everyone else, and there's a bit of a gap between the P1, P2 and P3 in the AM classification. When you're leading the race, Björn Grossman, what do you as a racing driver consider to be a relatively comfortable margin of lead? Do you have a target that you try and think, okay, if I've got 3 seconds, I can give it 99.99% rather than 100%?
I have to say I normally give every time 100% because if you start to do only 95%, you make mistakes.
Okay.
So, of course, if you have 3 seconds, it's still a good.
Yes.
It's still good. So you can work with this and you can drive a little bit faster and slower.
Joshua Cartu then through turn number 1 now. Goes downhill. You can see the Chris Froggatt car ahead, and it's within his target sights, but can't really earn any more than he's doing at the moment. Gagliardini is running in P4. And there is Tommaso Roca then, the Rosso Corsa driver now. P8. He's just not quick, is he, Björn?
No, something is wrong, for sure. He is driving not fast.
Tommaso Rocca then, who's not had the best of luck in the Ferrari Challenge. You see some damage on the side of the car there. Here is the pro race leader, the CDP driver Daniel D'Amato, who really throws that car through the chicane, Björn.
Yes, maybe a little bit too much.
Okay. And Chris Froggatt then leader in the AMS. And then leader of the 458 category is Umit Ulkyo then, who's driving also with Galapata, and Holger Harmsen is splitting the two Octane 126 cars at the moment. Now Jens Liebhauser really has caught Joshua Kartu. So Joshua Kartu is P2 in the AMS, Jens Liebhauser is P3, and that's a mistake, isn't it, from Joshua Kartu, carrying too much speed in there?
Yes, too late on the brake, I think, and he wanted a little bit too much. And that's the point in the end where the tire starts to be really hot.
With these tires on the 488 car, you know, when you get to the end of the race, as we are now, with only 1 3/4 minutes left, can you feel the difference in adhesion? Because clearly you've worked the tires really hard, Björn.
It's a big difference. You see it on the times. You can do with the new tire 48 or 47 time, and now they drive 50.
And now Joshua is really struggling to keep the car on the tarmac at the moment. So Josh Kartu then, who was being chased by Jens Liebhauser, and presumably you will say that that was very good attack from Jens Liebhauser, because he just kept the pressure on, didn't he? He wasn't too close, but he made sure that Joshua Kartu's rearview mirror was full of his car, and he knew that he was there.
Yeah, there you see, he make one mistake and that's enough. Yeah. And the next one, when you see on the next corner, it was only because he was not in his mind, so he was still not. Yeah.
That's a really good point, isn't it? Because when you lose a little bit of confidence, you have to regain it straight away, don't you? Otherwise, you're going to make mistake number 2. So D'Amato leading from Fabio Lima, then it's Alessandro Vezzoni. So Daniel D'Amato then around at turn number 14 will cross the timing line to start the last lap in this Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli race, and it's going to be another win for him, barring any disaster between now and the end of the race. There's Fabio Lima, who, it has to be said, has really come on strong towards the end of the race and has tried, but to try and reel in 4.5 seconds, Björn, that's a big ask, isn't it, from somebody that is driving as well as he is?
Yes, it is. I mean, I drive with Fabio now 1 year, and it's really 4 seconds is a lot for us. For us, it's a lot.
So D'Amato then for the CDP team with that 488 GTE, the first turbocharged car ever in the Ferrari Challenge then. And this will make it win number 4 across the last 2 rounds. Chris Froggatt then, and it will be his first win in the AM category. He's had 2 P2 places, but if he can take the AM win, he will be delighted with that. Jens Liebhauser is closing, but he's going to run out of time to be able to really trouble Chris Froggatt. And providing Chris doesn't make any monumental mistakes, then he should be safe. So P1 in the AMS with Jens Liebhauser P2 and Josh Kartu P3. But in the Trofeo Pirelli Pro category, the dominance that this man has shown over the last 4 races has been extraordinary, and it continues apace as Daniel D'Amato has just 2 corners to do before once again he will see the checkered flag, and he will make it 4 out of 4. 4 race wins out of 4 starts. That's one heck of an achievement when you marry that to the pole positions he's achieved as well. There's an argument that he does the hard work in qualifying. The CDP team climb the fence to salute their driver as once again he takes the checkered flag. Fabio Lima has chased for all his worth and has got ever closer, but he finishes P2 for Octane 126, and Alessandro Vezzoni, who's out on his own, here he comes then, and he will take P3 in the pro category. There's Alessandro Vezzoni. Next up it's Andrea Gagliardini then, before we should see the all-yellow car of Sam Smith to take P5. It will be Philip Barron that takes P6. Sure enough, there is Sam Smith. Philip Barron, who pushed the car so hard in the early stages of the race, that's probably cost him the pace towards the end of the race. And here comes our AM leader. Chris Froggatt takes the win from Jens Liebhauser. And here comes Josh Cartu then in his home race, who will take a podium with P3 in the AM standings. Chris Froggatt absolutely delighted with his win in the AMs, and to take the win in the 458 category. Umit Ulku, who's made it 2 out of 2, Björn, in the 458 category. And you can see as he's now only entering turn number 13, what a step up the 488 is in comparison to the 458 Evo.
It's a big step. I mean, I know this car.
Yes,
was my
you do.
I win 2 times the championship with exactly this car, so and he's a good driver, so I can say it's a big difference.
Well done to Umit Ulko then, who takes the win in the 458s, and Daniel D'Amato takes the win in the pros. Chris Froggatt takes the win in the AMs. We say thanks very much to Björn Grossman for being on the air with us. Really appreciate that. You go down there and kick Fabio Lima's bottom. Bless your heart. Björn Grossman then, thank you very much for joining us on the air. Really appreciate it. There's Holger Harmsen then in the Treble 2 458 Evo car. Fastest lap came from Daniel D'Amato, Kel Surprise. It was lap 2, a 1:48.843. Alessandro Vezzoni, very good showing from him to take P3 in the pros. And they're all the cars running off wide now to do as much pickup as they can to make sure that the weight is right when they come to be weighed. And Daniel D'Amato then absolutely on a charge. What a great job he has done. Once again, our thanks to the 2016 Trofeo Pirelli champion Björn Grossman for joining us on the air and giving us a driver's insight into what it's like out there on this 4.3 kilometre Hungaroring circuit. So Daniel D'Amato then, as I say, did all the hard work in qualifying, put it on pole position, and just converted that pole into yet another race win. Unstoppable is the word at the moment, because he's taken 4 wins out of 4 race starts and leads the Trofeo Pirelli Pro Championship. Top 3s across all the categories then: D'Amato, Lima and Vezzoni for Pro. For AM, it's Froggatt, Liebhauser and Cartu. And for 458, it's Ulku, Harmsen and Galapata. So there is the Fabio Lima car then. And Christian Birchinger, the boss of Octane 126, for whom we thank for allowing us to have Björn Grossman alongside us in comms. Björn Grossman, of course, races for the Octane 126 team. In fact, has taken his 2 championships with that team. And the CDP team there celebrating that Daniel D'Amato once again brings home the top place. He's pretty pleased with that. Congratulated by his father. I can remember when first involved in the Ferrari Challenge when they raced together. They shared the car over the course of a weekend, did Renato and Danielle. And Danielle went off to have a solo career and, truthfully, has not looked back. So Jens Liebhauser being congratulated there. There is Fabio Lima. And Josh Cartu is on the podium for his home race. That's really good to see, being congratulated by lots of people down there. Octane 126 continue their celebrations because Umit Ulku, of course, has taken the win in the 458 category. So Daniel D'Amato heading up towards the podium. I don't know where the time went in that race, to be truthful. Chris Froggatt, many congratulations to him, being congratulated by Jens Liebhauser. And just see Josh Cartu walking through there as well. Let's take a look at the challenge show right now. Some great shots of the Pirelli show then, the challenge show. And there is the Alessandro Vezzoni car, which makes it to P3. P2, Fabio Lima. P1, Daniel Di Amato. And of course, we always see two podiums because there is the Pro podium and the AM podium, and we'll be going up there next. So the podium awaits. Everyone has gathered below to offer their support and cheers and applause to those drivers that will be appearing on the podium. Conversation going on there with the CDP team that have engineered Daniel Di Amato to yet another win. And there you can see confirmation of Di Amato, Lima, Vezzoni, with Gagliardini, Smith and Barron taking the 4th, 5th and 6th places. But we're going to see Alessandro Vezzoni, Fabio Lima and Daniel Di Amato up on the Pro podium. And Alessandro Vezzoni takes his place already as Fabio Lima. And Daniel Di Amato up onto the top step of the podium. He kind of knows that really rather well now, doesn't he? National anthem time. Just before we have the national anthem, of course, Umit Ulku is there for the best 458 driver. So the national anthem concludes. And here comes the trophy presentations then. As Giulia Gazzi, the Deputy CEO of the Hungaroring, makes the trophy presentations to Alessandro Vezzoni, to Fabio Lima, and now to the race winner, Daniel Di Amato. And stand by for Umit Ulku to receive his trophy as well for best of the 458s. Here it comes. Great stuff. So the drivers will all get together on the top step of the podium. Well, they'll try and squeeze together on the top step of the podium. I'm not sure that's going to be completely possible. Teo Meyer there making the trophy presentation for Pirelli as well. And one to go, of course, to the 458 also. So they will all gather together now on the podium for the photographs, and then it's time for the champagne to be sprayed ahead of the AM podium.
Up the trophy. Okay, you ready?
So Michele doing a good job of really choreographing the drivers for the press photographers here. Who's going to be first with it? Oh, Mr. Umit has legged it, look. How disappointing. So he's left with just two now. So the champagne is sprayed up there on a somewhat depleted Trofeo Pirelli Pro podium. Let's take a look at the replays of the top three. Then Alessandro Vezzoni taking P3 in the number 27 car. Taking P2 then for Octane 126, it's this man, Fabio Lima. Teammate to Bjorn Grossman, who joined us in the studio for our on-air comms for the second race of Trofeo Pirelli. And just like the first race in Trofeo Pirelli, it was won by the CDP driver Daniel Di Amato, who in the end crossed the timing line with a margin of some 3.244 seconds to the good. So another win for Daniel D'Amato. And podium to come now. Home driver Joshua Kartu, who's made his home here in Budapest, will take the third step of the podium. Jens Liebhauser, another driver that was with us on the air yesterday, he takes P2, and Chris Froggatt takes his first AM win. The FF Corsa team are utterly delighted with that. So the national anthem plays out for Chris Froggatt then on the top step of the podium. Like he needs that. He's about 7 foot tall, Chris Froggatt. Josh Kartu then receives his trophy. Jens Liebhauser with his. And the winner's trophy then to go to Chris Froggatt. Tina Koch, one of the Copa drivers looking on. So, brace of trophies there for Chris Froggatt to take back to the UK. Drivers all get together.
With your trophy and for the photo of photo and video from Hungaroring. Smile, photo, video.
So, as I say, Michele is really orchestrating the smile now, wave now, smile and wave, boys, smile and wave. Come on, Chris, you've got to be first with it. You're certainly dousing everyone. Next race then, as you can see, the Copa Shell Race 2 at 13:35 GMT. As Josh Kartu then gets a podium at his home race, and really pleased for him. And they will make their way off the podium. First having taken a serious slug of champagne, Mr. Kartu. Well done, sir. Racing done and dusted for the weekend. Be focusing and concentrating next on heading off to Le Castellet, of course, for the next round of the Ferrari Challenge. P3 in AMS then, Joshua Kartu. P2 in the AMS went the way of Jens Liebhauser with this very interesting graphic treatment across the front of his car. And P1 in the AMS. The first win for the UK-based driver Chris Froggatt. He's had a couple of P2s, but that is his first AM win, and one that he will remember from the Hungaroring. And there, super slow-mo of the celebrations, which, if I may say, were a sight more animated for the AM podium than they were for the Pro podium. Froggatt, Liebhauser, Kartu with Overgaard. Martin Nelson made it back up to P5. That was a brilliant drive from Martin Nelson. Then it was Contini, Jensen, Roca, Nielsen, and Aubock. So there we have it. We'll be taking a look at the highlights of the race in just a couple of moments. But Chris Froggatt then celebrating his first win in the AMS. Okay, let's reflect on the highlights of that race. So at the start of the race then, Daniel D'Amato, Fabio Lima and Sam Smith with Philip Barron going to the outside in the all-green car. Martin Nelson in the AMS as Andrea Gagliardini just got a touch on Alessandro Bezzoni. And Nelson squeezed out just a little bit by Alessandro Bezzoni as well. Sam Smith went to turn in, but in the gap that he wanted to turn into, it was full. of the Alessandro Bezzoni car. Martin Nelson, having been turned around, had got hard work to do to make his way back up the order, and Tommaso Rocca came under pressure from Ettore Contini, but Daniel D'Amato was not going to be putting a foot wrong. Jens Liebhauser and Joshua Katu. Jens Liebhauser's pressure on Josh Katu meant that he made a mistake, and therefore he was able to go from P3 to P2 for the number 44 car. And at the checkered flag then, Daniel D'Amato makes it 4 wins out of 4 starts, chased home by the Octane 126 driver Fabio Lima. And you can see just how delighted Daniel D'Amato was with that win. It was the first AM win for Chris Froggatt in car number 93. And Joshua Katu, of course, celebrating a podium P3 in his home race. And well done to Umit Ulku for taking the 458 honours. In the Drivers' Championship then, 9-point lead Daniel D'Amato has over Fabio Lima now, and it's Philip Barron in P3, just 2 points ahead of the British driver Sam Smith, who is P4 on 65 points. As we head to the next round, which is at Le Castellet in the south of France between the 21st and the 23rd of July. Races.ferrari.com is the website for you to check everything out about the Ferrari Challenge. Thank you so much for watching. Join us for the Copa Shell race, which will be on its way very, very soon, just as we look at the Drivers' Championship for AMS, where Martin Nelson has a 3-point advantage over Jens Liebhauser. Bye-bye for now.